أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، وصلى الله وسلم على سيدنا ونبينا محمد وآله الطيبين الطاهرين. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجه. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. عظم الله أجورنا وأجوركم. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept our efforts and raise our status and increase our rewards as we continue commemorations in the month of Safar of what happened on the family of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam. Continuing on the issues in the Islamic laws, we just to confirm the subject, we finished, I believe, with the different shak things that may happen in Salat. We also covered the Salatul Ayat. Last week, I believe, we covered Salatul Ayat. Any questions on Salatul Ayat? Salatul Ayat, as we mentioned, it's named Al-Ayat not because of the broken down ayat, but because of the signs of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, meaning the different natural phenomena that exist and occur that are special signs, as opposed to normal signs that we are familiar with, so we don't see God in it. Now the sun rises every morning from the east and sets in the west. That is one of the signs of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, obviously. However, unfortunately, many people get desensitized to the signs of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so they don't see it. Except when Ibrahim alayhi salam, he says to the enemy of God, Namrud at the time, he says to him, my Lord is the one who brings the sun from the east. You can bring it from the west if you can. So this is one of the signs of God, but we don't see it. But when the sun is hidden by the moon, solar eclipse, or the moon is hidden by the earth, and therefore the lunar eclipse, when one of those occurs, if they come in line, this is something that doesn't happen often. Therefore, people would see it as a sign of the mercy and blessings of God given when He gives us the sun all the time. Imagine it was hidden all the time. He gives us the moon throughout the month, different stages, and we benefit from its gravity and its light and so on. Yet imagine it was not there. So when these signs occur, we tend to remember God more often. Human beings look at these occurrences, they recognize God. Therefore, there is a salat for it, just like also earthquakes and other natural disasters that would bring fear to the hearts of the people, and therefore would make them typically turn to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. At those times we perform Salatul Ayat, and we mentioned the two types of Salat, or the two options of Salatul Ayat. The next, we did Salatul Ayat, Salat of, yes? Any, sure, yeah. Any questions on Salatul Ayat so far? Bismillah.
Being season of hurricane and all that in this area, what is the criteria for, let's say, a hurricane that is here is becoming a
It would be the niyyah would be more of what we call the not عما في الذمة, رجاء المطلوبية, or عما في الذمة. Because we don't know for sure that it's obligatory during the times of khawf, so it's ihtiyat. So we can definitely perform it because it does bring fear, brings people, people are fearful in Florida. You might lose your home, your home might get on fire. Many things happen, so it does bring fear. And therefore, if a hurricane does happen, tornado does happen, one should perform it as a matter of precaution.
Perform it during it or?
During. Yeah, it's during the natural occurrence.
You don't notice anything, you don't have to during.
If you're aware of it, then you do it, just like solar or lunar eclipse. If you're aware of it, you have to do it during, otherwise you do it as qada. If you know that. Now, in this case, hurricanes, it's ihtiyat, so you would do it amma fi dhimma, qada amma fi dhimma. And if you're aware of it and during the time, you do it. Just like earthquake, you do it during. Now, someone would say, how could I do it during? Well, if it's so bad that you cannot even stand steady and do it, then you do it qada. But that's. Now, earthquakes, as we said, those are the secondary reasons for Salatul Ayat. The primary are solar and lunar eclipse. Those eclipses are the primary reasons. So that's that. Another subject is the Salat of Qada, performing Salatul Qada. So inshallah we'll spend a couple of minutes on that and we have to wrap it up. Salatul Qada is whenever one has missed a prayer in its time. We mentioned even Salatul Ayat has Qada. So anytime you miss a wajib salat, then you have to do the Qada of it. And that would be for everyone that misses salat, except there are a couple of exceptions. One who is completely unconscious, غائب عن الوعي, that they are no longer considered one who is sane. Their consciousness is not there. Not asleep. We're not talking about asleep. One who's in a coma, for example. That is an exception. So there's no qada for them. Also, women, when they are not in the time of the month that they don't pray, they don't do qada of that. There's no qada for women's days of non-prayers in the month, the menstrual periods and the missed prayers. They are not to do qada unless a prayer became wajib while they were still in a position to pray and they didn't pray on time. Okay, so for example, a woman was able to pray and it was dhuhr time, she didn't pray. Later on in the afternoon, she realized now she cannot pray anymore. Then she has to do the qada of that particular salat. Now she was in a position that she cannot pray, and then she became pure and she can pray, and she realized that during the time, but she didn't make the effort, for instance. Or let's say woke up in the morning, realized that she was already pure from last night and did not get up for Fajr prayers. So she has to do the qada of that Fajr because she was pure, yet she needed to purify and pray, and she did not. Otherwise, during the time, there is no qada. Other than that, if one misses prayers, they have to do the qada of it. And how do we do the qada? You have a question? Okay. How do we do the qada? We do the qada as we miss it. So if you miss the prayer in qasr, you do qada of qasr. If you miss the prayer in full, you do the qada of full. If you miss a whole day of prayer, it is best that you start with the prayers in order. Okay, so Fajr, Dhuhr, Asr, Maghrib, Isha. At least with Dhuhr and Asr, they have to be after each other. So you don't do qada of Asr and then do qada of Dhuhr. You do qada Dhuhr and then qada. If you miss both of them, you have to do Dhuhr and then Asr. Or Maghrib and Isha. If you miss both of them, then you do Maghrib first and then you do the qada of Isha. And preferably the whole day should be like that. So if say you are somebody missed few days for whatever reason and wants to make up those few days, they should do the qada of those days, Fajr, Dhuhr, Asr, Maghrib, Isha. Not Fajr, 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 5 days, and then Dhuhr, 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 5 days, and Asr, Asr. No, that's not how it should be. You should do a whole day in the order that you missed it, and then the next day, and the next day, and so on. Is that clear? I hope it's not confusing, yeah? So that is a little bit, inshallah. We are out of time, so yeah, quick question, yeah.
Somebody do the Azhar prayers from a long time ago during the night.
Yeah, ahsant. Yeah, ahsant, very good. So when it's qada, you don't have to do it during its time. It's qada, you can do it anytime. If your Fajr is qada, you don't have to wait until the next morning before Fajr, before sunrise and you do qada of Fajr. No, you do it anytime. So you can do a whole day of qada at night. And if one has a lot of qada and they want to get up at night and do night prayers, it is best not to pray night prayers and completely miss the qada. If there is tazahum, our scholars, they say if there is some sort of contradiction that you have to choose one or the other, you have to make sure that you choose the qada before the mustahab prayers. If you can do both, by all means. If you can do combination, it's perhaps better. So I often tell people, if you have a lot of qada and you want to pray night prayers, do your 8 rak'ah of qada, and then your 3 rak'ah of shafa and watr. So you can get the best of both worlds. But I think that suffices. Walhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wa sallallahu ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala tayyibin at-tahirin. Sorry. Allahumma salli ala
Zuhr prayer and you are doing in Jama'ah, and while you start doing the Zuhr, you realize that you have the morning prayer.
So what's the ruling on that? Do you need to switch to the morning or
Continue. Okay.
what's the
Yeah, ahsan. So somebody has missed their Fajr prayers and now they're joining Jama'ah or praying their Dhuhr prayers in congregation or individually. Do they have to, I started, do I have to switch? No, you don't. You should pray Fajr as soon as possible, but if you are joining a Jama'ah, you can pray your Dhuhr and Asr, and then between them maybe do your Fajr, or before if you could, or after otherwise. So it doesn't have to be, you can pray Dhuhr and Asr if you have missed your Fajr. It's not an obligation. It's best that you do it as soon as possible, and if you have time to make up your Fajr before you pray your Dhuhr and Asr, but it's not an obligation. Yes.
Slightly off topic.
Yes.
If you did, for example, Salat al-Dhuhr, and you, at the end, after you're done praying, you couldn't remember if you did 3 or 4 rak'ah, what do you do at that point?
If you finished already?
Yeah, and then you're questioning if you had done only 3 instead of 4.
Yeah. Now, if you are still within the salat, you have just done your taslim, or you are in the middle of doing your taslim, I'm not sure, 3 or 4 rak'ah, then you get up and you finish it, because 3 and 4, you finish your taslim, and get up and do your 1 rak'ah of ihtiyat, And then when you sit down, you do, when you finish, you do sajdatay sahu for the possible additional tashahhud and taslim that you did. So that's if you're within the situation. If it's past already, completely, if you just walked away and you're doubting a little bit, if you're frequently doing that, just ignore it. If it happens to you frequently, just ignore it. Otherwise, if it's genuine that, oh, I think I did only 3 rak'ah, for example, and you've already missed the opportunity of getting up for rak'at ihtiyat by turning away from the qibla, doing something, talking to somebody, then you can pray, repeat it in ihtiyat. It's not, yeah.
So, follow up on that. So as long as you haven't done something that makes your salat batil,
Yeah.
like turning your head away,
Yeah.
or talking, or even if you have finished
Salam, yeah.
you still can say, oh, I need to do that.
1 rak'ah ihtiyat, yeah. You can still get up, do 1 rak'ah ihtiyat, and then do sajdatay sahu, and it's good. Inshallah. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وآله الطيبين الطاهرين اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد
Hassan, you sure you want to start streaming?